So, as an organizational psychologist, I've had to deal with a fair amount of crazy nonsense in the work environment in my day. I've had to deal with employees behaving like school children. I've had to deal with mitigating spats between an employee husband and wife who all of a sudden one day got into a fight in a giant meeting in front of the entire staff. I've had to deal with a lot of crazy nonsense. One thing I haven't had to deal with is someone pulling out their you know what on a work call and, going to town with himself. That has not yet happened in the course of my experience, and I've dealt with a mountain F-ton of crazy nonsense. But Jeffrey Toobin yesterday takes the cake. So I want to tell you guys, I want to tell you, I basically was not on the internet yesterday. That's why you didn't really have a video from me yesterday, because I was traveling all day. I was coming from Phoenix back home to New Hampshire, which of course when you lose the time difference, it takes all flipping day to get home. And so I didn't do a video. I wasn't really on the internet much. I was mostly just knitting on a plane and having a grand old time. And then I turn on my phone when I get off the plane and turn on Twitter to check and see what I missed out on. And I have to admit, I didn't much expect this to be the thing that I missed out on. And I'm sorry for those of you who haven't heard the news. I can't believe I'm going to say this at the beginning of the video. If you don't want to leave this video being profoundly disturbed about what happens on those Zoom calls you have to do at work, this might be the video to take off. Like, just stop now. Just like, this is not going to be anything productive, and let's just acknowledge that. But the reason I want to show you this specific article is that BuzzFeed is trying to make it seem like what Jeffrey Toobin did is completely normal and we should just not think it's a big deal at all. And I can assure you that it is not completely normal, BuzzFeed. It is not normal in any way, shape, or form, but I'm going to make fun of them for it because, guys, this is... Dude. Let's find out what happened, and those of you who don't know what happened with Jeffrey Toobin, I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. I mean, who among us, Yesterday was a fun day on media Twitter, routinely the worst of all Twitter subcultures, except maybe leg-washing Twitter, which I've decided we shall never speak of again after this sentence. I have no idea what she's talking about, but okay. Earlier on Monday, Vice reported that writer and CNN legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin had been suspended by The New Yorker for cranking one out on a Zoom call that took place last week between New Yorker staffers and WNYC. According to Vice, that was a Freudian slip. The call that took place last week the call was an election simulation featuring many of New Yorker's biggest stars, including all these people whose names I'm not going to be able to pronounce, and Jeffrey Toobin standing in for the courts, among others. At one point, Toobin seemingly joined a secondary call, lowered his camera towards his you-know-what, and allegedly, and I believe that is a technical term here, cranked it real good. He left the call, then later returned, apparently unaware that colleagues caught the whole thing. Toobin told Motherboard that he didn't know he was visible on the call while allegedly doing whatever it is he was doing. Loath as I am to relish someone's mini scandal, this one is particularly tremendous. It has everything: a high-profile media person, his whatever, a Zoom nightmare come to life, and an inexplicable election simulation that remains unexplained throughout all of this. Now, I'm just gonna go down a little bit more here because this is where this article gets really creepy. Most striking in all, though, is how bizarre it is that we haven't read 1,000 stories like this during the pandemic. No, wrong, no. This does not happen in normal working environments, BuzzFeed. I don't know what the heck is going on in BuzzFeed that you think is normal, but dude, at the beginning of the pandemic, I was literally running coaching programs, coaching managers on how to transition their employees into virtual work environments. I have heard it all when it comes to the strain that this caused, the upset it caused, the nonsense that prevailed on Zoom meetings, how Zoom fatigued everyone got, how cranky everyone got, all the drama it created, all this stuff. I have heard everything under the sun. I have not heard of anyone pulling it out on camera and having to, conceivably go through some investigation as to what exactly happened. And like, this is not normal. This is not normal in any way, shape, or form. Dude, I have been working virtually since something like 2008, 2009. I had my first work from home job, and I've been doing it intermittently really ever since. I have never been tempted to do this, and I don't know anyone who has. And I have never experienced anything remotely like this. This is crazy. One of the things that I find most laughable is that he specifically lowered his camera towards his area. I don't know what words I'm allowed to say as to not get demonetized, but you guys know what I'm saying. Like, he specifically lowered the camera. Come on, dude. Haven't we all done something on a work call that in normal circumstances we'd never do in a meeting? Let he without sin cast the first stone. The benefit of working from home is the comfort to do whatever you want. Endless snacks without judgment, cigarette breaks at your leisure, Real Housewives on all goddamn day. No, wrong. What is going on in Buzzfeed? These things are not normal. Even if you are in a work-at-home environment, it is not normal to do that on a Zoom call. And frankly, yeah, you can take breaks when you want, and you don't necessarily have to wear pants, which is pretty flipping awesome, and one of the reasons I still work from home to this day. But still, man, like, people in a general sense maintain some sense of decorum when they are on work calls or on work time, because you know why? You know why, BuzzFeed? That's what you do when you're a professional, dude. Like, this is not hard. Sure, some of you, I'm sure, have turned your video off for a brief moment during a conference call to take a big hearty pull off of a joint and turn it back on when the smoke finally dissipates and your eyes look miraculously droopy. Well, dude, if you're doing that, you should be fired. And listen, you guys know I am not opposed to any of this in your own time, but not when you're at work, man. It's time to be a professional. No, don't do that crap. It's simply unnecessary. I, of course, have never done this, as I am a good employee and have never done any drugs at all. My review is next week. Please be cool. But it would be naive to think that most people aren't engaged in some effery during a work Zoom. Well, yes, it is true that most people out there have massive Zoom fatigue right now. People are not interested in being on Zoom anymore, or like whatever your video conference system is, and it is actually creating a lot of problems with employee relationships and that sort of thing, because people are doing everything over email and Slack and not talking to each other in person. They're not hearing each other's voices, and it is actually going to continue to be a big problem, which is why it's so important that we start to open the economy back up so that people can go back and work in person. Dude, there are some jobs you can do work from home for an extended period of time and do them reasonably okay, but really it does tend to create a lot of interpersonal problems in the office. Teams tend not to be as productive as they could be. They tend not to be as collaborative as they could be, because it takes extra work to get dolled up, at least from the waist up, to put yourself on camera and have those meetings. But even when you're doing that, I'm reasonably sure that most of you resist the urge to crank one out during a work call. And you should, because that is a responsible thing to do. Why BuzzFeed is trying to normalize this is absolutely mind-boggling to me. Look at that. Jeffrey Toobin can't be the only person on work Zoom calls. I don't know, man. Like, I'm actually curious to know. And listen, like, I know most of you have anonymous accounts. Is this something that is a normal thing that I simply just haven't encountered in the workplace? Because I've encountered an awful lot of crazy S in the workplace, and this is one I haven't met yet. So why BuzzFeed is trying to normalize this, I don't know, man. Like, I get that you guys like Jeffrey Toobin because he's on your team, but some things you just have to say, dude, you effed up. Own you effed up, take your punishment, live to fight another day. All right, guys, that's all I've got for this one. I just couldn't help doing it because it was like, there's so much crazy news right now. There's so much. This is definitely going in the stupid news category. I'll tell you that. But listen, folks. Some of you have been asking me about what my voice. My voice might sound a little weird. Just so you guys know, I don't have COVID or anything like that. I just have a head cold. I'm like congested. That's all it is. I actually feel fine. It's just my voice sounds a little funny. So you don't need to worry. I am not sick. I am fine. I'm not spreading the virus or anything crazy like that. I just have a head cold. You know what it is? Like, people still do get sick when it's not COVID. Okay, so just relax. I'm fine. That's all I've got for right now. I'll see you guys soon.